And we're off.
And we're off. Okay, here we are. Here we are again.
What did they say? Oh, action. Isn't that what they say in the movies?
Action.
You were in movies. Did they say action?
Oh, yeah.
What was the protocol leading up to the go? Was there more than,
I didn't pay attention to that. I just...
Oh, well, didn't, like... I mean, I've never been... They do the little clicky thing, and then they...
Yeah, the clicky thing, and then they say rolling.
Okay.
Because then you got to get the cameras rolling.
Okay.
And then action.
Gotcha.
So you pay attention once the clicky thing goes. That's why I wanted one.
Okay.
Also, it's a nice
We can still get
sound.
one. Oh, all right. Season
talked
3.
about
If we make it to our 3rd season, that could be
It'll be our treat.
anniversary present.
Our prize.
We'll make it. Because some previous podcasts, we were trying to guess, like, how long are we going to go? And I said, as long as we want. And you guys were like, good answer, good answer. But I think you committed us to 13 seasons.
Did I say that out loud?
Something,
Was it 10?
yeah, you did.
10? Why do I remember 10?
No, I feel like 13 was the number I'd said.
Oh, because it was 13 seasons of 13 episodes?
Maybe, I don't know.
How many is that?
It was a lot.
13 times 13.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that smart.
12 times 12 is 144.
Okay, so then add 13 and 13.
I don't know. I stopped at the clock.
Wow.
You do your multiplication tables. I stopped at 12 times 12 was as high as I learned.
Yeah, nobody goes higher than that.
No, nobody does that.
Maybe the smart kids. Yeah.
Not this smart kid. Sorry.
Rolling.
Well, we already are rolling.
Yep.
Action, I think, was the key.
I wonder if they say rolling and then you hit the clapper.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, because you need that in it.
You need it in it.
Yeah, we've learned
I'm thinking
that.
about this now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was an extra. I was over in the corner sitting at a table somewhere. Or in a bridesmaid's dress waiting to walk down, whatever I was doing.
Nice. For all of you listening and
watching,
watch your work? You can, your reward is if you can find
you can
Marika.
find me in a movie.
Marika has starred in a movie here
I have not
in
starred
Canada.
in a movie.
Starred is not correct.
Starred is
played a part.
I've been in a movie. Yeah. The
one
most
movie
embarrassing
or more
one?
than one movie?
Many.
Well.
Yeah.
One. So more than an extra because you actually had speaking roles, right?
Yeah.
There you go. So I heard, you level way up.
Way up.
When you're just like
I
a
climbed
face,
the ladder.
when you're not allowed to speak, that's one level. Mm-hmm. But then when you're on there and you're speaking, it's like a whole different ball game.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, the one I use when you're at something new and people don't know you and you're supposed to introduce yourself. If I'm feeling brave, I'll use this one movie because I was in a Bollywood movie where I played 2 characters because they said all white people look the same, so it doesn't matter. So I was a British air hostess with a British accent. And then I was...
You look very British.
I do. Do I?
No.
I don't think so. And then I was an Indian ghost. And they were thrilled that they didn't even have to put makeup on me because I was so white. Because I was so pale. And then I had to speak Punjabi. And I had a wig thing clipped in on top of my hair and false eyelashes on. And then they asked...
As the ghost?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a fancy ghost. And then they asked for my false eyelashes back so they could reuse them.
Oh, wow.
When I was done.
High budget film.
Filming, which made me wonder how many times those eyelashes I was wearing had been on other people's eyes. And I didn't like that. But that's probably the most
that's good.
Camera front / also embarrassing movie I've been a part of.
So that really ties in with our topic today.
Not at all.
No, it totally does.
Okay, take it away.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, we would have to go on a slightly longer tangent.
That's okay. Take us on a journey.
Yeah, because I was thinking, you know how often they film. So for those who don't know, where we live here on Vancouver Island,
yes.
they do a lot of filming and apparently a lot of Hallmark movies.
Yep.
Usually, I think anytime you see a film crew,
it's a
9
Christmas
out of 10
Hallmark
times
movie.
it's a Hallmark movie.
Right.
That is
There was one here just a week ago.
But I mean, they film in Vancouver. They film some big budget movies or whatever. So anyway, filming is quite common around these parts where we live. And so I thought hey, you could probably easily get on board with being an extra or something. If you wanted to, I'm sure there's opportunity out there.
Oh, yeah.
And so how this ties in with our topic, I'm well, when you're part of filming, it that film lives on
beyond you,
right? It lives on. Other people watch them years later. So I'm there's our topic.
I've been memorialized as an Indian ghost.
Yes.
What kind of
Beyond
a legacy will you leave?
Wow, you did it.
Recorded,
that wasn't even a
right?
long journey. That was
no.
A short journey.
But isn't it neat? We naturally went there. We didn't plan this.
No.
Never
Filming.
case you couldn't tell.
Filming. So it's
is
like
that
the
your,
actions you do.
Is that the legacy I hope to leave behind?
Yes, the legacy I hope to be
no.
Indian ghost.
But it is it's something
a part
that's,
of it, unfortunately.
it's an impression that you've left behind for future generations if they want to watch.
Let that be a warning to
Wow.
what you decide to do.
Maybe one day when we're high budget, we'll have an iPad where we could...
Pull things up?
yeah.
Mm.
Because right now I really want to look up the definition of legacy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we need like a fourth person where that's their job.
Oh, the researcher.
The researcher.
Yeah, the guy that's just over here.
That's just over there, and we
The
just ask
Jamie.
them questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Jamie, could you
Yeah.
look up the definition of legacy, please?
Legacy, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Totally.
We could just start doing that, and then maybe one day we'll have one.
Yes.
Just start talking to the man
Yeah.
in the corner.
That would be
So
good.
really it.
Yeah.
Add it on the list.
There's nobody over there.
There's nobody.
we keep looking over there.
There's nobody there.
Okay. Well, with all that said, if we need to reiterate, this podcast topic is on
Legacy.
legacy.
I find it interesting that this has actually been a long time coming,
Very long time coming.
which I think isn't a mistake because, I mean, if we're going to keep tying things in, legacy takes a long time to build.
True.
You don't build it overnight. There's no instant legacy.
Mm-mm.
You know, it's intentional. It's long. So back, we looked up, it was March 15th, back in March
Mm-hmm.
of this year.
Mm-hmm.
We are now in November. You sent me an email. You want to talk about your email?
I did.
And why you sent it to me?
I don't fully remember. I don't remember anything outside of the fact that I did it and then I just reread it today. But I work for an organization called Young Life, and the former president of Young Life passed away really suddenly, and he was very close to my boss's boss, who's an awesome guy. And so he sent everybody that he oversees an email that was basically talking about the impact and the legacy of our former president and dear friend. And I read it, and I think truly, I hope he doesn't listen to this. In fact, like I'm a bit of an email skimmer, and if I see something, then I'm like, okay, I'll dip into this. But I'm usually like, what's the point? Okay, sounds great. For some reason, I decided to, and it was a long email. I decided to sit down and read it in full, and was deeply touched by the profound and significant way he outlined his impact, both as a Young Life staff person and then as a spiritual former. I'm like trying to come up with what that title would be. Somebody responsible for the spiritual formation of others, and then him as like a person separate from his work. And to see, I didn't know him very well. We interacted at a few staff things before he retired. And I'd seen his wife at women's retreats and things like that. So I knew them for sure, but to see the picture of what he left behind and to be experiencing the amazing things that he created and that I take for granted as just, this is just the way we do things. And then so to be reading an email that was talking about the genesis of these things was so crazy. And so I sent it to Amy, forwarded it, being like, I don't actually really know why I feel like we need to talk about this, because we weren't talking really about legacy much in that context at any other point. But I was like, I feel like this is what we're trying to do. Like the way that Mike lived his life and the way that he impacted people, this is what we care about. We want to make people incredible followers of God who are walking in the fullness of who they are. And then they can go do other things too. And then because of that, they will leave behind a legacy that will mean that people like me just think that this is just the way things are. But really it was like crafted and sweat over and repeated over and over again by this one individual who got a hold of God's heart and then wanted to make it happen. So I forwarded that email back in March, and then Amy said, great, we're not allowed to talk about it until we talk about it on the podcast, because that's our rule. We can't pre-talk. So we haven't been able to talk about this really great email that I read until right now.
So 8 months later, here we are.
We did it. We made it. We finally get to talk about it.
The email no one is allowed to talk about.
That's right.
That's the description for this when we were like brainstorming what we could do. It was just the email that Amy won't let us talk about.
That's right. Because we weren't allowed to talk about it. We couldn't even call it legacy.
No. But now we can.
So I think it's interesting to think about, because I don't think we think about what you're currently in. Somebody created that.
Yeah.
Like whether it be in your job or in your church or in some, like We have all of these things that we use, that we do in everyday life. Like, they didn't exist before someone put them in place.
Yeah.
Right. And that is that person's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting because we just kind of go about our world and go about our life and enjoy the things we have.
Yeah.
And not realizing sometimes somebody paid a price for this, like blood, sweat, tears. And here we are in this space. Right. So it's pretty wild when you start to begin to dive into that and begin to contemplate that and go and appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The level of what we can do in our lives has been based on those in the past.
100%.
And then it's almost like they pass the baton to you and you're like, okay, now what are you going to do to make it better for the next one? Like, we're not just here to maintain.
No.
We're here to get better and to plant the seeds now, right? It's the whole tree planting thing.
Yeah.
I plant a tree now that maybe in my lifetime I'm not going to enjoy, but let's say my children, my grandchildren, like generations beyond that will enjoy that park, that forest, that thing that has been built.
My curiosity is that, do you think people always have struggled with this idea, or is this maybe a more modern phenomenon of, I just want to care about the things that are going to impact me? I don't hear anybody my age ever talking about legacy or talking about what they're leaving behind. They want to make things better for themselves. They want to see things improve and advance for themselves. But so I'm thinking so hard, and I don't ever think I've had this conversation until somewhat recently with like you guys, but more globally, never, of this, what are we doing with our time that's setting up for the people after us? Maybe with climate change. That's about it. That's about it. Really. That's all I can think of.
There must be, I mean, yes, that's a real feeling, but I bet you there's probably a lot of things, like when you start digging into it. But I agree with you. I think the prevailing stereotype is, it's not a very popular topic. But it's funny that you're almost reading my mind. Like, so Amy was talking, and I'm like, I know for me, it hasn't been until maybe even the last 2 years. Like, it's been fairly recent that I'm beginning to think, like my thinking of about legacy. Like, I don't go around every day like, oh, how can I leave a legacy? But my thoughts about the future have shifted to, like, I guess what would fit the definition of a legacy, like beyond my lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do to plant trees now, proverbial trees now, that are going to provide shade 2 or 3 generations from now that I won't live to see, but I'm doing it with them in mind.
Yeah.
And I think, like, looking back to my younger years, it fit that stereotype. Like, that wasn't even a blip on my radar. And I don't know what it is. Like, for me, if my first instinct is maybe it's common as you get older. I mean, I turned 47
I was gonna
in
say, you guys are
2026.
talking like you're 80.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
We're young, guys.
But still, like, turning 47, you think like, okay, I aspire to live to at least 100. So, as you're,
Such a wild. You aspire to live to at least 100.
At least 100.
Incredible.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, what are we, like, working out and eating healthy for? Like, oh man, like, I hope I'm one of those people that's just like giving her in my hundreds. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
That guy's 100. There's
100%.
a dude that lives in this building. I think he's 98.
Yeah.
Art, our lawn bowling friend. He has a I love lawn bowling sticker on the back of his little car.
Oh,
but anyway, and he rides a trike bicycle. Like,
yeah.
And I don't know if it's even an e-bike. But anyway, what I'm saying is, like, this dude's almost 100. And he's just doing it to it all on his own. He's in the elevator. He's driving his car. He's on his trike bicycle pedaling around the city. I'm like, man, heck yeah. So anyway, with that thought, like, okay, let's say
You're not even halfway.
Let's say I live to be 100. You have the thoughts like, man, I'm not even 50 yet. I'm getting closer, but it's like, I still have this much of my life that I've experienced so far ahead of me to do amazing things. And it's like, okay, what can I do with it? Because, like, the first half of my life, like, 1 to 10, you're just like, you're useless, basically.
Hey. Yeah. Those are very formative years. It's important.
Yeah, you're growing, but you're not really
contributing to society.
You're not
so much.
You're not producing.
I mean,
and then even your teenage years, 11 to say 19.
You might actually be.
You might
contribute even less.
I wasn't contributing much of anything. I was like a dead
you make it personal. You can make it personal.
Yeah, totally.
I believe there are people out there.
Oh, totally. But for me, my life,
at the Charlie Kirk of the world.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, he was in a hooligan.
And that's an inspiration. Like, that's an inspiration.
He left. You want to talk about legacy?
He left a legacy.
But I'm thinking about a massive legacy.
I'm thinking about for me from zero to today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, what have I done? And I'm just like, wow, I haven't even lived half my life yet. So it's really for me, it's a cool, encouraging, inspiring, exciting thought of like, wow, dude, what could I do in the next 50 something years? It's amazing. And so it gets all these thoughts flowing of like, okay, what kind of legacy can I leave? Like, there's some super cool things I could do in the next 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're wired for it. Like, I think God has actually wired us to think legacy, to think beyond our own generation. Like, that's who he is. He's a generational God. Like we read in the Bible, he talks about the generations. He talks about the blessing and the cursings, right? The cursings go down through the generations. The blessings also go down, right? It's like to the 3rd and 4th generation or to the 10th generation. Like, he's a generational God. Like, this is what he is and what he does. But it's interesting because I think we have to begin to tune into that. So you could look at a couple examples in the Bible. Like, one is David, who definitely lived beyond himself. So David really wanted to build a house for the Lord. And the Lord's like, hey, no, I don't want you to because you shed blood, right? I need a man of peace to build my house. But David didn't go, well, then I'm not doing it. He did absolutely everything he could to set up Solomon to be able to build the house for the Lord, right? He set up the next generation. He set up his son in a way where, like, his son could be successful. He got all the supplies. He did everything he could, just didn't build the house, right? Or we look at, was it Hezekiah? Now I might screw this one up. Who was sick and asked for another 15 years of his life.
Yeah.
Okay, so he gets sick, begs to the Lord, will you give me, I'm dying, please give me 15 more years. The Lord grants him 15 more years. And instead of thinking generationally, he ends up sinning. I think he showed was it him who showed the treasure to the Babylonians? I'm mixing it up. He did something. I thought he showed the treasure to the Babylonians, and the Lord's like, hey, you're going to lose it all. Like,
yeah. And I think he was the one. And then he said, like, hey, you're going to do it. And then your sons are going to experience this. And he's like, oh, I don't care. At least I'm not going to get this.
So he was disobedient. He offended the Lord. And then the Lord comes, like, the prophet comes to him and said, okay, like, your whole your family's it's all going to fall apart. You're going to lose it all. But it won't be in your generation. It'll be in the next. And he's like, cool.
Don't care.
I'm so glad it's not me. Like, he didn't have the generational mindset.
Dirty dog.
So we have those two very different people where I think we could be either one of those in our world today. We could be about, well, as long as it doesn't affect my life, as long as I get out easy, right? And it wasn't that he didn't have the blessing of the Lord. I mean, the Lord gave him an extra 15 years to live. And so it's a matter of kind of like, what are our filters and where's our gratitude at? And are we living beyond ourselves? Because he wasn't.
No.
Right?
Man, imagine giving him the 15 years knowing what he's going to do.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I couldn't. He's a good guy.
Yeah. He doesn't,
And here's a good, I think this is a good litmus test gut check for anyone. Is like, imagine these two scenarios. Like, scenario one, your parents or whoever, like somebody, they set you up for when they pass away or whatnot, and you inherit. Your inheritance is like massive debt. Like, let's say it's a house. Like, here's the keys to this house. There's massive debt behind it. The house is in such ill repair. You're going to spend the rest of your life paying off the debt and having to fix the house. Like, it's such a burden. Versus, here's the keys. And here's some blueprints, like in David's thing, here's some blueprints for a bunch of like additions we're going to do that, like in a pool and whatever, like to make this thing spectacular. And oh, by the way, like there's a couple million in the bank that we saved up that'll pay for this project. You don't have to raise a single dollar. Here's all the material. You know, like you're set up for success versus set up for a life of suffering. Like, I mean, for me, the first option is like, man, that does not feel good whatsoever. And so if that doesn't feel good, then like that tells me, how do I structure my life in a way of to not do that? Like, we don't have kids, but for society or whatever we leave behind, like how can we leave behind something that's like, here's the keys to this thing. And oh, by the way, like the bank account's padded with tons of money. We've put some plans in place for you to just like step into this and make it even better. But this is going to be a joy. Like I'm turning over something to you that's like a joy and a delight. I think that's what it's supposed to look like.
I think so too. That you spoke out the question I was formulating in my head for you guys to discuss more generally. Because when I think there's lots of ideas of legacy or what you can leave behind, or when you think of like the worldly idea of making a name for yourself, that has a lot of connotations to it. But we're specifically honing in on like a kingdom legacy of partnering with God to help bring heaven on earth and to leave something for the next generation to step into, to continue, right? And so then when I'm looking at it, if you have kids, there you go. Like you have God's biggest blessing, the little people that are going to keep going beyond you and yourself, and you have nothing but opportunity to pour into these little people between 0 and 10 who don't contribute anything to society. And you get to care for them and raise them and do better than the people before you and learn from your parent and like all these things. Like I'm like, oh, that's so rich. And so that seems obvious, but the three of us sitting here don't have kids. So then what does a kingdom legacy look like then? Like who are you leaving it for and what?
Yeah.
Oh, I have dozens. Well, maybe not dozens. I have several answers to that. Like I think about is as far as maybe adult children that aren't yours, but allow me to elaborate. So I think about like I would love like some of the things that inspire me. What I would love to do. First off, I think of the writings of C.S. Lewis. Right? What a gift! What a gift to me. I'm not his son. I'm not related to him. I never met the guy in person. I think he died before I was even born. Not sure. I forget when he passed away. But anyway, his legacy he left, his writings. And matter of fact, you guys are going through Screwtape Letters.
Sure are. Big fan
so
of the
it's
guy.
like, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps, dude. Narnia, right? Like he was Narnia, and like these things he created have impacted the lives. I know C.S. Lewis or Mere Christianity affected me in a profoundly positive way in the formative years of my just becoming a Christian. So it's like his legacy made my life richer and better and made my connection with God deeper and stronger. That's one example. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Like what he did, never met the guy, not related to him, never knew him, but his thing he created, his drum that he banged loudly and often had a positive impact in my life and inspires me and motivates me and wants me to do better things. So it's like, I think of it in the sense of like, we can create things like C.S. Lewis created stories in his writings. Stephen Covey created his system and now the Franklin Covey Institute, I think, I forget. But anyway, like they have left behind something, this like machine per se, that is having a positive impact in people's lives. Right. And so I think, children, I get it. They share your DNA. You gave birth to them. They're related to you. They knew you. But I think legacy goes beyond that as well. Like as my 2 examples of somebody that isn't related to you, you may never have met, never have known, didn't even live in your lifetime, and yet the things they created are making the world a better place, one life at a time. And so that's really cool. And I could go on and on about other people who have like, you name it, you start thinking of like who has created things like that are pouring into the lives of others. I want to do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think along those lines, it is that when you discover who God really is and who he's created you to be, and you are able to walk that out in your life, you become fully alive, you step into what he has, there will be, I think, some sort of outlet that flows through you. Now, there might be different levels to that. Maybe it's not a C.S. Lewis worldwide level, but at the same time, whatever it is that you're involved in, pouring into that thing, I just have to believe, like, when we step into that at the level that God created us to do it, there is an element of legacy to it, because that's who God is, right? Like, the whole idea is that the things you would do would impact not just your life, but the lives around you, that would impact down into generations. Like, that's kind of how the kingdom works. And so I don't think it can be boxed into, like, I think there's some outlets we can talk about. Like, I think that's brilliant, like the writings, these ones. But what if you sit here and you're like, well,
I can't write.
I'm not a writer. I'm not a this. I'm not a that. Right? Like, it's easy to see the ones that are quite public.
Yeah.
But what does it look like if you don't feel like you have that some sort of anointing to be in that state? And so we recently, just on a journey with, really cool journey actually, that the Lord has us on about just the local church. We might have talked about this a little bit. Maybe not, but just the coming in to fall in love with the body of Christ and realizing God's heart towards the church and beginning to embrace that and to understand, like, this is a part. You know, I think we went through a season of, does church really matter? Do we really need to be a part of it? Like, I don't really know. Like, we're kind of doing our own thing. And in today's day and age, like, man, you can find the best sermons out there. Just a little Google search. You can find people you really like, or people that challenge you, or people that cause you to grow. We could do church at home. But there is something about a body of believers together. And so in the last 6 months,
since May,
we've just felt like the Lord has called us to a church body. And I'm an all or nothing personality. So we've shown up and stepped into this, and I'm really pressing into it and learning about it. And a few weeks ago, just falling in love with the church. And a few weeks ago, I've really been praying recently a lot about, what do I do in CrossFit competitively? I'm pretty tired. My body's pretty beat up. I've gone through a couple injuries now that aren't really fully healed up, and just seeking the Lord. You know, is this still the trajectory to go on? And just really praying about it, and not really hearing any answers. And it's funny how you can just so doubt, I don't hear God's voice. I don't, but it's just timing and seasons. And maybe I'm asking the wrong questions. So I'm in the kitchen washing dishes a few weeks ago, and the Lord just drops in my heart and basically asked me, what if you gave the next 10 years of your life to build the church? And we are nomadic by nature. We love to move around. We don't like to be in places too long. But there's been a shift of season where we've been here 6 years, and I haven't died. So it's been really good. And so I think moving into that, like, normally in the past, 5 years ago, if you asked me that, I'd probably start hyperventilating. Being like, we're going to commit to something for 10 years. Like, that's a lifetime, which is really not. I'm learning.
Oh yeah. This is technically the longest I've ever lived in one place now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. In my entire life.
Oh, yeah,
well, except for growing up, but yeah.
Or movers.
Movers.
Oof. Yeah, man. 6 months was a long time in history. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd say about 2-3 year mark, you're moving. You're going, well, military life, that was normal for you. So I just started thinking about it. Lee and I started talking about it, praying about it. And I'm like, well, why not? And I started thinking in longer term, rather than, okay, yeah, I'll commit to the church for this next year. And if it works out, then if we're seeing the results we want, then we'll keep going. And God's like, in his wisdom, he's like, no, give me 10 years. Will you give me the next 10 years to build the church? And I'm like, really? What I'm learning about in my research of church growth and such, it's slow. So I thought, maybe in 10 years we'd see some stuff happen, and that maybe that's how we need to commit to this. So it was just before, it was Saturday night, and before we're going to go to church the next day. And I looked at Lee and we started to have a conversation about legacy, because for some reason in me, there is something wired where I'm like, I need to leave a legacy. Like I can't just die and have my life mean nothing. Like there needs to be something that lives beyond me. And so I was talking to Lee and I had said, hey, the window for us having kids, it looks like it's closing pretty rapidly at this point. We've tried to have kids. It hasn't worked out. And so it's a reality. You kind of want to ignore it, but you're like, here we are. And so that's the natural way, like you're saying, that most people will live their legacy. They'll pour their life into their children and raise up these incredible humans that will change the world. Such a privilege and honor, right? But I'm like, what do you do? What do we do if we don't have kids? You know, and so then I just looked at him and I'm like, I think we have to build the church. Like, I think that needs to become our legacy. Like, I don't know what else to do. And realizing building the church is just building people. Mm-hmm. And so here's this collective group of people. And it's like, okay, can we dive into this and just pour into these lives and raise them up? Because our heart is training. We want to train people up in prayer, in worship, in what it means to be a Christian, and what are the most important parts of that, and what matters, you know, all of that stuff. And just really want to embrace people that way so that they are empowered Christians, you know, powerful in who they are, and able to connect with each other and connect with God and move forward in like the purposes he has. So we have this conversation. And so then I'm like, okay, I think this is what we should do. And I think you were in agreement. And then so I just did the here I am, God, send me prayer, right? Isaiah, like, here I am, send me. And I just prayed. I said, okay, Lord, like I give you the next 10 years of my life. I will build the church. I don't know what that looks like. You'll have to show me and help me, but I'm committing next 10 years of my life to build the church. What did you say?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? You're like, did you just do that?
Oh, yeah. I was like, whoa. Oh, that's one of those prayers of like,
he's like, you know, that was for real, right?
You said that out loud.
I'm like, yeah, it's for real.
Take it back.
I'm in. And so God, in his amazing kindness, he's so fun. The next day we go to church and we just started leaving pre-service prayer. And I had prayed during that prayer. I'm like, God, will you start, this week, will you start touching hearts with supernatural coincidences? So these moments where you're like, wow, that had to be God, right? Like you hear something here and then it's repeated over there and you're like, okay, God, you have my attention. And so for some reason that was put on my heart. And so I prayed that there would be supernatural coincidences happening for people. And we walk into the service and we sit down and Pepe, the pastor, gets up and he says, hey, we're starting a new series this week. It's on legacy. And we want to talk about legacy. And he had said, our church is 10 years old. That was chapter 1 for the first 10 years. And now we're turning the page. We're going into chapter 2 and and he specifically said, we're going into the next 10-year chapter. And who's with us? Who wants to come and build this with us? And he just talked about the importance of building the church as a legacy. And so I was like, okay, God, you have my attention. And just so kind of him to confirm, you know, like here I've made this significant commitment to you, Lord, like 10 years. And for him to say, yes, this is what I've asked you for. And this is what I'm calling you into. And so I think that is another outlet, but it could be anything, you know what I mean? Like it could be your career. It could be wherever you are. It's just kind of like asking the Lord, how do I pour into this thing in front of me? Or what are you calling me to put my time and attention to that would build up people? Because it's building up of people that would go on and do the next thing.
So good. And I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg with coincidences. Like I would like to believe, or I believe, that God really honors, like he knows our heart's desires. And I think when our heart's desire and words out of our mouth like line up with what he wants to do, it's like, okay, like I have somebody I can partner with, like to partner with God to do some of the things that he wants to do on earth through us or with us, like things that are so unique because like what's that saying, like no one can do what we can do because we're unique individuals. Right. So like the things that you have within you, your gifts, your skill set, your connections, your background, your age, like everything about you, you get to do things with God that I can't, just by nature of like, I'm not you, right? Like, right? There's so many differences. Yeah, there's so many similarities, yet so many differences that you bring such a unique fingerprint of God into this world. And I think when we're starting to like align ourselves with that, like a compass almost, and we're like lined up with God's plans and purposes, that's when I feel like divine coincidences start happening more often, and doors start opening more often, and there's almost like an ease and a grace and a favor, that take place.
A thread, at least, that goes through these stories, which I think is true, is that those things come with a stepping out. Like, you had to say the prayer, you had to become the president of Young Life Canada, and then say the same things 50,000 times until enough people heard you that they believed you, and then believed you enough that they started doing it, and all these things. And so I think sometimes maybe if you have a more passive nature, your thought process may be, oh, I'll just do the things that I do, and then whatever's good will like stick around. And that's probably true and great, but also, like you said, we have unique giftings and callings, and God has set us, like the classic Esther, like for such a time as this, right? Where you're like, you are here not by accident or coincidence, but there are people and positions and opportunities placed in your life for a reason. And if you're going through the motions and you're not listening, you're not asking, you might miss it. Or you might experience a smaller portion of what it was actually intended to be. And so I do find it interesting that the concept of legacy appears to require like conscious thought and effort. It's not actually a passive process or experience, and some of it probably is that just who you are and the way you live will leave an impact. But when we're talking about scope, if you want scope, then there has to be a stepping out and an awareness.
Ooh, that brings. Ooh, yeah, that brings up an interesting thought. I wonder if there's a difference, maybe even if there's like a term for it. So legacy, leaving a legacy, you can probably do it passively or unknowingly or purposely. So like what you were describing, yeah, it's just such an interesting, it's fresh thought, like such an interesting thought of like how we live our lives, whether we know it or not, has an impact on those around us.
Yes.
Yeah.
They observe how we speak, how we act, how we treat others.
Positive or negative.
Yeah. And so like now it's branching off all over the place, like a positive legacy, a negative legacy, So, I wonder if, as you were describing, like it requires, what did you say? It requires like a purpose?
Conscious effort.
A conscious effort.
Choice.
Yeah. So I wonder if it's, it would be like focusing a light beam, like the unconscious legacy, how you live your life can have an impact.
100%.
And it's probably speaking, or it's probably affecting people that you might not even be aware. You'll never know, good or bad. But then when you focus it, like the old magnifying glass in the sun rays, right? And you can like burn a hole through paper. Like when your efforts and the essence of who you are and your creativity, everything about you is focused and the purposely directed towards something, it has a much richer, like a much bigger impact. Like it's like, okay, I can do all this stuff. I have so many hours each day, waking hours. I have so much, resources at my disposal at this point in time. What does it look like to just focus it on one thing? And what kind of impact can that leave? Some thoughts,
And what I think is awesome and great is that the like, we'll call it the laser focus now, because like the laser focused legacy is still gonna have the more like passive one that we talk about, the one that just happens because of who you are. That's gonna exist regardless of whether you choose to do something or not. You and your actions and who you are will leave an impact on people, positive or negative. So that's going to happen regardless of what you choose to do. But you could also have this deep, significant, prolonged, specific legacy based off of who you are and what you were made to do. And,
yeah,
you know, and you're like, well, that's kind of nice.
And I think it's important to look at how you're wired. Mm-hmm. Because it's really easy to get into like the people that we see that make huge impact. Like they always kind of feel like they're front and center. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, they're the charismatic ones, but that's not the whole story. Mm-mm. Right. And there are teams of people that come around these people that cause the thing that they're doing to actually move forward. Right. And so it really is beginning to realize, hey, God, who am I? What have you wired me for? Mm-hmm. And how do I become a part of a team, essentially, or a body or a group? Or how do I become a part of something that will live beyond my lifetime?
Yeah.
I think we have to be really clear. Hey, this isn't just on your shoulders and yours alone. Yes. You know what I mean? Like you have to build your legacy and it must be significant. Mm-hmm. You know, that all of a sudden that's a lot of pressure.
Totally.
And so really it's understanding, God, where are you calling me to sow into? And, you know, maybe it's most likely it's to be a part of something bigger than yourself with other people. Like we talked about this the other day with a group of women that meet, if like you could see yourself being very successful just in your job or wherever you are, doing your thing, using the tools and the different things that God has given you and your identity. But I challenged us to say, but to be able to live out the fullness of the calling that God has placed upon your life, you should not be able to do that on your own.
Yeah.
It's not the nature of the kingdom. Mm-mm. Like if it's possible for you to step into what you feel like God has called you to as your full calling and like walking that out completely, there's going to be connection and relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Like it should require a team of people working together in the body to move that and advance that forward. And so then we begin to look at like, I think the question is, hey, God, where do I fit? What's my role? Yeah. Where do I come alongside? Because a lot of us are come alongside people.
Most of us.
Yeah. So then it's like, because there can only be so many founders. There can only be so many, you know.
There's not enough seats for us all to be.
Right. And so then it is really looking at, you know, where's my role? Where's my part? Right. And I think a huge part of that is the body of Christ. Like we're meant to figure this thing out. Like how do we all come together in the body and put those pieces together? Right. Like the scripture talks about there's the hand, there's the foot, there's the eye, there's the this. I don't know that we've been super successful at figuring that out.
I would argue that we might even know that we haven't been super successful at figuring it out in so many places. It's interesting. You said you use the line of like, that can sound like a lot of pressure. And my first thought was, yeah, good. And then I was like, okay, wait, what do I actually mean by that? And I had to sit and think about it for a second. But because I was like, that's a strong reaction to that. That's probably a true statement. And I think that if hearing this causes the feeling of, oh, I have to go out on my own now, I have to be successful, you're like missing the point. Yeah. And that pressure is bad pressure, but also you're putting it on yourself. So stop doing that. It's dumb. Yeah. But if you're listening to this and you're realizing that you have an opportunity to use what you were made for to have a significant impact on whatever you're called to do. If you're called to do it, it'll feel awesome. Yeah. And you feel like, oh man, like I feel, good. Yeah. That's great.
Well, and I think this ties into like another podcast we just had on seasons. Like you really have to embrace the season that you're in, right? And know that, hey, in this season, this is what I have capacity for. This is what the Lord has called me to. This is what I need to focus on. Mm-hmm. Now we draw on his strength and like we're able to do those things. But I would also warn, I guess, a little bit against people that are like kind of strivers, you know, that find some identity in getting a lot of things done and find like they feel like really you're finding your identity in your accomplishments. Mm-hmm. That can look outwardly
like a great legacy.
Like you're building a great legacy.
Yeah.
Right? But we have to realize, so part of this journey, okay, I'm going there. Part of this journey is just this whole idea. We say it often and I get what we mean, but this idea of God used me, right? Like, and I understand what we mean by that is, God, I want to be surrendered to you. I want to fully give my life to you so that you can use me in a way that will further your kingdom. I agree with that mostly. Like, I think the premise of people's hearts is in the right place. My problem is just with the language itself. So if we were to break that down and like, if I were to come to you and say, hey, what does it feel like when a friend uses you? When you're used by a friend?
Yeah. Not great, usually.
No, you know, and I heard someone say even, hey, like for a woman, what does it feel like if a man used you? You're like, that feels really bad.
Yeah, most people go, that's bad. Don't do that.
So we get into this realm of like where we shift it to kind of like, well, God just used me. Like, and it's what the problem with that I have is that it's disconnected a little bit. Like it's pulling away from relationship.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not relational.
Right. So to be used by someone is like there's a breach in this relationship. This is not, you know, a healthy space. So instead, it's this idea of knowing God. Like what if the one thing we strived at, because we love to strive, is to know God, to seek his face, to be known by him. And I have to believe the more that I go after knowing God, he'll give me the assignments.
Yeah.
You know, like if I know his heart, if I'm hanging out in his presence, if I'm near him, and if I'm just like seeking his face, he's not just going to let me sit on my couch every day doing that. He's going to put things on my heart. He's going to break my heart for the lost, for the broken, for whatever it is, whatever he's called me to. All of a sudden, my heart's going to start getting either heartbroken or angry. Yeah. Because that's another way to see like the injustices that we begin to see. We get angry. And it's like, well, why does that thing bother me? And God's like, because I'm stirring your heart towards this. And the more that we get to know him and his heart towards things, the more then we are able to carry that with him. And so for me, I get it. It's semantics a little bit, but it's like, hey, I want to partner with you. God, I want to be a part of what you're doing, not just by commands, you know, like God use me, like I'm lined up, give me my assignment, I will go do it. Yeah. No, but like, God, what's on your heart today? Where are you leading me? How can I release your goodness? Like, flowing through me, but like it's a participation. And if we look through scripture, God doesn't really use the language, I want to use you, right? Like we could look at John 15, right? Abide in the vine. Yeah. Right? He wants us to be with him. Abide in me and I in you. And with that, you'll be able to do basically anything. But apart from me, you can do nothing. And it's really easy to get an assignment and be like, okay, I got this, God. You gave me my assignment. I'm going to go do it.
Thank you. See you later.
I got this. I'm being used. Here we go. You know? So it's just really kind of stepping back for a second and going, yeah, like, is this transactional? Is it me trying to earn your love? God, I got this. I'm so good at this. God, let me show you how good I am so that you approve me and you love me. And it's almost like you gave me this thing and I want to prove that I'm worthy of it.
So good with it.
Yes. Yeah. As opposed to, no, I'm abiding in the vine. And I know that you love me. And I have so much of that love that I can't keep it inside. Like I need it to overflow in whatever avenue of gifting or whatever avenue that you've given me. I want that to flow out.
Okay, I have a proposal, a concept, fresh thought, if you will. What if perhaps we've talked a bit about the passive, we'll call it passive and active, for the sake of I like the way that sounds, legacy. What if it is perhaps that the passive legacy, the stuff that is just who we are that other people see and it is impacted by, is formed entirely by your character, which usually is formed entirely by how you view God, is what we've talked about a lot. And so if you we've seen it time and time again of people having great authority and great success in even like pastoring huge churches or starting corporations or whatever, and it outwardly looks really successful, and regardless of whether or not they wanted to, they left behind a legacy there too. But then you talk to the people who interact with them, who work alongside them, who live life with them, and they have a very different experience, and often it's followed by both their personal and professional legacies kind of crumble altogether. And so I think that obviously in the beginning, especially, it was kind of a hard push of, hey, like you were created for something and you can step into that. But if you're doing that without this character part where like the glow of who you are is just so Jesus that is what is attractive, then whatever you're doing outwardly is not going to be very helpful or good.
Yeah. I mean, I would say those people that where it's crumbling.
Yeah.
I would say that is a use me culture. Use me up is what happens, right? How much burnout do we have in our church culture? And it's people getting used up, and it's almost like this tossed aside.
Yeah.
You know, okay, next. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm saying like I think it's a little bit dangerous because it's like, no, that's not what we want. And that's not what God wants. Like if you look at John 17, I think is the one that talks about, but God, we prophesied in your name.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like we did the stuff.
We did the thing.
We did the bells. We prophesied. We healed the sick. We did all the thing. And what did he say? He said, I never knew you. It was knowing.
Yeah.
Right. And if we go in, it doesn't matter. I think it's Matthew 7. John 17 is like the crux of the whole thing where it's like Jesus starts speaking and he says, this is eternal life.
Yeah.
That you may know the one true God and his son, Jesus Christ. Like this is the heart of the gospel. He's saying, know the one true God. He's not saying, you know, and over here he's saying,
go
get
and
away
do
from
great
me.
things in my name.
Yeah, he's saying, get away. Like you'll do great things.
Yeah.
That is in there. But he's saying, get away from me. I never knew you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, this knowing piece is vital.
Yeah.
And if you're telling me eternal life is knowing the one true God and his son whom he sent, like that has to be first. And then the flowing through of, okay, I know the heart of God. And so now I know how to pray with authority. I know the heart of God. So I know that I will lay hands on the sick and see them healed. Yeah. I know the heart of God and I hear him calling me to Africa to go do the thing. You know, like it's from that place that we flow, not from trying to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
Where we end up getting used up. Use me, God, because this will prove who I am. And that doesn't end well. And I'm not saying everyone that uses that phrase is doing that. Let's be clear. But I think it's something interesting to think about because I think words matter.
You do think words matter. Yeah. I don't think anyone ever means it. Or no. maybe some people do. I don't think so. But I think most people then don't mean it in that context. But then if you pull that word out and use it in any other context, you don't like it.
No.
So maybe we should find a different word.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm also on board. It makes sense. Now I giggle every time I hear people say it because they say it a lot.
It's popular.
It's everywhere.
And it's a heartfelt thing. You're just like, you just want to please the Lord. Like,
totally.
There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I just think the knowing is more important. And the flowing out of that is the heart of it. Partnering. I feel like he wants to partner with us, not use us. Abide.
Yeah, see, and I'm, like I've said before, I'm not there's a demon hiding behind every hedge and whatever. I'm like, the devil's out to get everybody, but sort of he is. So for me, I often, like my perspective on things is always framed by, like, and this is probably being ex-military, like strategy and this and that. It's always framed by how does the enemy best kill, steal, and destroy? How does he distort and pervert? Because if he does it in a way that's so glaring obvious, like, you know, jumps out with whatever picture you have, like jumps out and says, here I am, this is what I'm doing, I'm here to like destroy your language and pervert your, you know, like you're obviously like, whoa, no. But it's like that cunning, ever so slight, you don't even notice it. And then day after day, year after year, you look back and you're like, whoa, how'd I get here? Right? Like, I think that's how it is. So I think with the way we speak, the way we think, like, oh, I'm totally, like, my radar goes off on, like, God used me. Yeah, good heart intention, but my interest level gets peaked of, like, how do the words we speak fall into that category of, like, tweaked ever so slightly to where the next thing you know, like, oh, I have victim language, or you know, like you didn't know how you got there, but eventually, if somebody, you know, you could see the light, and the blinders were removed, you're like, holy cow! I've been living the last like X amount of time of my life with, I speak like a victim, I act like the victim, I you know, whatever I do, it's not in partnership with God. I'm just when I hear the word God use me, I think of a screwdriver lying on a table. It's like just a lowly screwdriver it's just sitting there, just passive,
waiting to be
hoping to
used.
get picked up and used to tighten that screw. And it's like, no, like partner is way better. Like, God, I want to partner with you. I want to build with you. Like partner to me brings up images of a father building, like often go to a father building Lego with his son.
Totally.
Where they're doing it together.
Perspective. Like, as parents, do you want to use your kids?
My parents said they made us that we have someone to do the dishes.
There you go. So slave labor first. Fair. There's a portion side of that. But.
Or it's
do you want to spend time with? Do you want to partner with your kids? Do you want to live? Do you want to
do life with your kids?
Do you want to? It's just a little different context.
Yeah, the 9-year-old child come into the living room. Father, use me. Will you just use? I would love for you to use me. And then the dad's like, yeah, you know what?
Was off because he calls his dad father.
You know what? Dad, use me. It's like, you know what? Yeah, the gutters. Go clean the gutters. Get out of here. Go clean the gutters. Like, okay. Oh, thank you so much.
He's not an angry taskmaster.
No.
It's like, hey, let's go clean the gutters together. Anyway, I think we digress a little bit, but it was good. It's very necessary.
Legacy.
Well, so here's the great. Oh no, you got it.
You go.
Okay, I was just gonna say because I was reeling still from the other part.
Yeah.
I think the great news is sometimes maybe if some people are they're already wired, like you said, you're already wired for purpose. Like that's always what you think about, and so this concept of legacy is natural, inherent. You go, yeah, of course I'm thinking about this, but I think so often it's tied to purpose, and so many people struggle with purpose. What is the purpose of it? What is the purpose of life? What am I doing here? What is my job? I just feel like I'm living day to day, whatever that is for you. Not whatever, that's not important. But the great news is the Bible tells us what our purpose is over and over and over and over again. And they put it in the right order for me. It is to know God and then to make him known. So the purpose of your legacy is already set out before you, and the flavor in which you get to do that is the things that God made you to do that gives you life, that match the circumstances that you're in. There's not one way to do that, but the purpose and the why is already set out. You get to pick the how with God and just go out and do it. So if it feels overwhelming for legacy, it doesn't have to be. It's already been decided for you. It's just to know God and to make him known. And through that, God will partner with you to change everything.
That's pretty good.